Hi there, Craig Owens here, hoping to show you how to create a new symbol in Sincal. Just got a very simple Sincal file here with a couple of lines and a transformer in the middle, and obviously this is just a default symbol that it's got at the moment. So if I right click on it and go to format, I can look at changing the symbol type there and using one of the options. That gives me a different picture, or I might choose, say, an auto transformer. It looks like that. What I actually want to do is make it look like a square isolating transformer, so unfortunately that's not one of the options that Sincal provides by default. So we'll put it back to what it was originally. We'll have a look at how we might come up with the way of creating our own symbol. So if I have a look in Explorer and in a folder under My Documents called Sincal Projects and Symbols, there's a bunch of files. Now yours has probably only got 4 files there. I've got a copy of my initial symbols file just for backup purposes, which is always worth doing. So this file actually defines what the symbols are in Sincal, and if we look there, we're looking at the standard library and we're looking at single port elements. So that's in feeders and generators and such like. And then we scroll down a bit further and we get to 2-port elements, which are the standard ones that we were looking at just before. So we could choose an auto transformer, and we actually chose a 2-winding transformer as well, I think, before. So that's where how those actual symbols are defined in Sincal is laid out. Now there is some reasonable documentation which you can find on the Sincal installation disk. It's a file called Sincal symbol files, so I'll just put that up there where you can see it. It's basically shows you the syntax for creating symbol files in Sincal. The symbols themselves are built on an XY coordinate system going from +100 to -100 in the X and Y directions, and if we just scroll down a little further, there's an example which looks very similar to the one I just had on the screen a minute ago. And then you get down into the detail here of exactly what has to be in the symbol file for it to work. Now you'll find that this is pretty finicky. It's got to be exactly right or you'll get no symbols at all in Sincal. So it is a little bit of a trial and error sort of situation, but most of the detail that you need is in this file. So that's the overall syntax, if you like, for the symbol files, and then we get a little bit on flow networks, which we won't worry too much about. We're just worrying about electricity networks. Then there's additional symbols, and I'm just looking for the part where it tells you about the particular elements of the symbol. So a line, for instance, you define by its start point and its end point, which won't be a surprise. Rectangles, ellipses, arcs, etc. So you can look through all of those and find how you define the symbol file. It's all a little bit tedious, so what I've actually done is create a little Excel spreadsheet that allows you to have a look at creating those text files for yourself in a easy way. Now, Excel will come up with a little security warning here, so I'll say yes, that's good. I'm happy with running those macros, and it'll just take a minute to calculate the actual symbol, and that's what I've decided my new symbol is going to look like. It's a swirl isolator. Now you can see that each of those elements, the green one corresponds to the green ellipse here. So the ellipse is defined based on the coordinates of the bounding rectangle. So without probably going into this in a lot of detail, we could imagine a rectangle that was outside that green circle that would start from an x coordinate of -60 and a y coordinate of +20, and then to go down to this point, which would be x is +60 and y is -100. So those values are entered there. This little spreadsheet will allow you to change those values. So if, just as a little demo, I'll just put in -50 there, and our ellipse should squish up into a smaller thing once my computer calculates it, and there you go. It's a ellipse inside a slightly smaller bounding rectangle. So we'll put it back to how it was. And what I'm going to do is actually take all those numbers and try putting it into the symbol file, and see how I go with, well, actually what I'll do is I'll cheat because it's easier that way, and I'll take my copy here and I'll show you what I did rather than do it all on the screen while you're watching, because that just takes too long. So here in the text file is the actual, I'll just move it so we can see the Excel thing as well. So there's the text file, and I'll just make that look about right. So the Swear Oscillating Transformer consists of a couple of ellipses, a couple of polylines, which are in fact lines connected one next to the other. So you start from the start point and then go via several points along the way until you get to your final end point, and then a few basic lines just at the end there, which is how it looked nice in Excel, so hopefully it'll look nice in Sincal as well. If we have a look in detail at the syntax that the symbol files documentation requires, we'll see that there are two things in the header for each symbol. I'll just show you. That's the whole of the symbol definition. The two items in this start line are its ID, so this is a unique ID inside this text file. You notice I sort of just put it in between the two winding transformer and the item below it there, so it's ID 55, and then the number 8 is how many lines are there in this symbol definition, and there are, I hope you'll see, 8 in that list there. The other thing that I've had to do in this updated symbol file is to change this number here, which is in fact the number of symbols in the section of this section of the symbol file. If you don't do that, you won't get any symbols in Sincal and you'll have a problem. So what I should be able to do is just rename this file, and that will become the one that Sincal reads, and then we'll be able to see how it goes in Sincal. So what I'll do is I'll close that, I might as well say yes, and we're going to rename the original symbol file to original, and we're going to rename that one to the name that Sincal expects to see, so symbol free electro. So that's done. So the next time we start Sincal, it should pick up that adjusted symbol file. So I'll save that. We'll just go straight to Sincal. Takes a little while to load. Must have too many things going, including the video recorder. That probably slows the whole show down, I suspect. So open that, and we'll just go into symbol test. So that is our default symbol. So if we go into format, we should be able to see that we've got our swear isolating transformer there, which is the symbol we just created, and there it is in Sincal, looking pretty much like it looked in Excel. The other thing to say is that you have, I'll just put it back to default for a second, and we'll go in here and to note that there are in fact 2 libraries of symbols available to us, and that's defined in the text file as well, and pointed out in the documentation. So if we decide we want to use ANSI symbols instead of the IAC symbols, it looks a bit like that. And you'll also see then that we haven't got those symbols that the symbol we created is not here because we didn't put it in this library. So if we want to go back and get our swear isolating transformer back, we need to go back in here to options, have a look there, go for a standard one, and then we are able to choose the swear isolating transformer because it was only entered into that section of the library. Now there's nothing to stop you creating your own library, just another section in the symbols file. There's nothing to stop you from putting your own symbols in the existing libraries like I've done there. As I say, I only put it in one of the libraries, so it only turns up in one of the libraries. Hopefully that gives you a pointer in the right direction. The only other thing I wanted to point out to you is that there is also all the default symbols are defined in the actual Sincal program files folder, in a subfolder there called symbols. You will see that you have all these default names. There's one there that I created just as a test. You can edit these, and they do look very similar to the format that exists for user-defined symbols. You probably need to just be pretty careful. Make sure you keep a backup copy, because it is possible to stuff it right up and you'll find you don't get any symbols at all in Sincal, which would be fairly disappointing. So anyway, so that's there for you to have a look at if you choose to. Anyway, I think that's probably enough for now. Happy to talk to people further if you've got a question about it, but I think that probably gives you a pointer in the right direction for how you might make your own user-defined symbols in Sincal if you choose to. Thanks for that. Talk to you later.